the suggestion is that you use an affirmation, and I hope everyone here knows what an affirmation is. It's speaking out loud, a powerful statement. And usually it's better if it starts with I am. And especially if you add the words worthy, grateful, and ready. I am worthy for success in my business. I'm extremely grateful for the success I've had so far, and I'm ready for more. I am building a business in Super Patch which will pay for my whatever goal you have. And the reason I put that in there is that there's a rule in affirmations. It's called the 3 Ps rule. An affirmation has to be in the present tense, it has to be personal, and it has to be positive. So when we word an affirmation, instead of saying I will, say I am or I have. Make it yours now, not in the future. I will means the future. And I hear people talking about affirmations. Oh, I will be successful one day, or I'll be successful in a year's time. That's a very disempowering affirmation because it's not in the present tense. It has to be personal to you. It has to make you feel something. There's no point in just sort of blah, 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 if you're not having some emotion tied to your affirmation. And in the positive, I hear a lot of people saying, I no longer am something. I no longer am scared now to approach people. But the universe, or whatever you want to call the powers that are helping us all the time, as long as we're receptive to them, even if it's a negative you're focusing on, all it hears is the problem. It hears that it's not done in a positive vein. So you have to be very, very careful when you're doing affirmations. Now, a lot of people will say, well, how long do you have to keep saying an affirmation? And how often during the day do you have to repeat an affirmation? I've always believed that it's a 21-day time frame. And I looked it up actually, and it says that the 21-day frame is seen as a sacred time to rewire your brain towards the zone of positive thinking and self-empowerment. Now, I think that definitely applies to affirmations. I totally agree with it. But I also think that maybe it applies to wearing a patch, that at least a minimum of 21 days, to rewire your brain, to clear out especially if it's liberty and whatever else you've decided to work, to rewire your brain and to clear out all the obstruction and the channels that leading up to the brainstem. So when I saw that 21 days, which I kind of hadn't thought about in a long time, but wow, that applies to patches, definitely. And I think the company can see that in the 28 days time frame there for the money back. In my research, I was finding out that it's better to speak your affirmations. If you're going to write them down, that's wonderful as well. You can read them to yourself as well. If you've got a busy household and you haven't got a space where you can say them out loud and people wondering what on earth you're up to. But to speak them out loud is way more effective. It's a very powerful practice because you're telling the powers that be out there. Now, you also have to be clear. I know that there's an acronym called SMART. It has to be specific and measurable and accountable and trackable, and I forget what the R word is, and I didn't write that one down. But to say, I have a very successful business isn't really a very empowering affirmation, because what does the word successful mean? It means different things to different people. And, that's not measurable at all. So I think there's no point in saying that. One of the things that I learned to do, and I have to admit I have been a little guilty of not doing that so much recently, is to set the stage for affirmations. And that's in the morning when you get up. The first thing you do is not look at your phone, not go out and make your coffee, but to actually maybe lie in bed or sit on your bed and do what you call segment intending or pre-paving. And I have found since I've been doing that on a more regular basis, I've done it for years and years and years, but on a regular basis, it's powerful. It's so setting your intention for what you want your day to look like. Wayne Dyer was a mentor to my daughter. She did a course with him many, many years ago. And he taught her that if you could just tell me right now, what would your perfect day be? And my daughter was like, well, she's done this for years and years and years, and she has some very successful and measurable businesses. And what we all learned through Wayne Dyer is that to set the intention before all the stuff of the day starts happening. Because we all know, like we haven't had flooding where I live, but we've had flooding all around us. We've had electricity going on and off for the last 2 days. The air conditioner it's not broken, but because of the electricity, it's causing a bit of an issue. Now, if I let that dictate to me what my intention is, I'd be in a bit of a mess. So when the last couple of weeks, I have been doing the segment intending or the pre-paving. I've been stating my intention before I even get out of bed. And things are clicking. It's amazing when you make a decision and when you decide that you're going for it, nothing is going to stand in your way. It's amazing where the help comes from. It's incredible.
You know what? I haven't written down my I am statements in quite some time now, and I'm going to do that first thing tomorrow morning. And I'm excited to do that again. But
Good.
you know what? What you just said is so important. And it's one of those things where some people will look at that and say it's silly. I have a mastermind group of super successful people, and half of them roll their eyes when I talk that way. And I say, hey, you know what? It's one of those, if you think you can or you think you can, you're right. It's when you know about affirmations, when you know about positive projecting and the secret, the law of attraction, when you know that, you internalize it, it becomes part of who you are, and it's the most important power you have.
Absolutely, Tony. Yeah.
And then you live it every day once you have it.
I'm a minister. I officiate a lot of weddings. And if the weather report is looking like it might rain on their very special day, and I do a rehearsal with them, I hear things like, oh my God, I hope it doesn't rain. And then they ask me to talk to God so it doesn't rain, which is silly. Everyone's got their own link to God. Not, I don't have any more. But they're always saying, I hope it doesn't rain. I hope it doesn't rain. Oh, please don't let it rain. So part of my role is as a minister is not just to marry people. I feel it's about education. I was to say to them, what are you focusing on? Rain. You are focused on rain. And they said, no, 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 we don't want rain. I said, yeah, I know, but you're focused on rain. So how about if we turn that around and say, oh, I sure hope it's blue skies on Friday, or Saturday, the weather is fantastic and we're getting married under the best circumstances possible. So that's an example of a negative affirmation, but people don't realize, they're affirming in their mind that they've never been taught anything differently. But I hear this just about every week when I do weddings.
Watch your thoughts because they become words, and watch your words because they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits, and watch your habits, they become your character. And watch your character because that becomes your destiny.